Hi guys, I wanted to do another video today, and I spent some time with a bunch of my cards, and what I do is I just allow my mind to just kind of wander and see where I end up and what seems uniquely interesting, and I write it down. And what I did was I went kind of a little bit crazy. I have all kinds of notes that I took. The energy of today is ruled by Saturn. And the colors that are associated with this reading are brown, purple, gray, and off-white. For someone who's kind of here that wants a quick answer, this is the card that flew itself out, but if you're in a hurry and you don't have enough time to hang out for the entire reading, I want you to think about how the energy of Saturn could influence this card. Go, the time is right. Now, Saturn literally stands for time. That's what it rules over. But before you go, you may want to think about that anything that you're going towards may be challenged. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. What it means is if you really want it, you'll persevere. And if you don't really want it, you will be shown. But now is the time for whatever it is that you are trying to go towards. Well, the number that came out is 1221, so it's a mirror image number. And that is ruled underneath a symbol in geomancy that is called Carcer, which is also ruled by Saturn. And, the word is incarcerated. That's one of the significator words. Oof, English is hard sometimes. But it's basically talking, instead of being stuck somewhere, it's talking about consolidation of something. Now, the number for 1221 that came through is taking initiative, which goes with go, the time is right. It's talking about change, optimism, joy, communication, messages, good news, expression, and high vibes. So that kind of is a weird message to go with the energy of Saturn, which is normally blocks, hurdles, restrictions, keeper of time, sometimes a symbol of death, different stuff like that. And yet this is the positive side of Saturn, where, you're not late, you're right on time. And if you work hard and diligently towards something, it will reward you. And, it's wisdom and different things like that. So sometimes, I know that it's a malefic energy, but sometimes I feel sometimes we're too stuck on the negative. And that's one thing I've noticed as I've been doing reading, especially through cartomancy. I mean, tarot can also be this way, but I noticed that, because cartomancy is an older system, so it has a tendency to lean more negative and fatalistic in some kind of way. But I feel I'm being asked to give a message of how can you have a positive outlook through a time of hard consolidation. And the words that came through was, first you have to have confidence, and the second is you have to have trust, which is like the word faith. It is not like the word hope, because sometimes hope is when we want something to work out without putting any effort in. That's my interpretation of the word. But sometimes hope still is a positive thing, but it's a more lazy, passive way of it than faith, and whatever that way. And so where in experiencing restrictions can you see this as a positivity, like a consolidation of things that we value? And it talks about love from a place of authenticity and acceptance. So I guess the energy of Saturn would be asking, how real are you? How genuine are you? How much of who you really are really gets seen? That would be my interpretation of it. So the rest of the 1221 says, work with what you have, and it will get you places. And count your blessings and acknowledge your dear ones, loved ones, anybody, friendships, family members, your animals, your mom, your dad, your brother, your siblings, anybody that you care about. You will find inspiration and figure out a way forward, which talks to, the positive outcome of being willing to take on a little bit of a little bit less, basically. And it says you might also be getting some good news soon. So I think that's a pretty good message, So here I am with all my noodles and all my notes and my random thought burst that came through. So another energy that I feel is important is 808 is a number that came out. Now that's both a frequency, like an actual, like you can look up 808 frequency. It's an abundance frequency, but it also is talking about something from the belly button down energy, which could be our, sacral chakra. It can be our sexual energy. It can be our creative energy, because it's basically somewhere down here I wrote the womb, a place of emergence where gods are born, which, babies are born, music is born, creativity is born, we are born, different things like that. So, and the reason why I do that is because, like, when I was shuffling the card, I got the Joker, right? Try to get in focus. And on the stone right next to his wheel is 808. So, like, for example, like you're riding your bike, you're driving your car, the wheel is touching the rock, right? So something to do with a wheel, a vehicle, how could possibly hitting a boulder, hitting a rock, anything, how could something that's standing in our way be a good thing? How is delay a good thing? Well, think about that moment where you're trying to get somewhere and just everything goes wrong. From you can't find your keys until the last minute, and then in my case, animals, the cats vomit on the floor right before you leave, and so you gotta stop and clean that up, and then you get in the car, and then you get behind someone who drives like a slug, and then you finally get past them, and then you get going to a good speed, and then you hit construction, and then you get to almost where you want to turn, and then you got a detour, and it's just like one thing after another. And then someone calls you and says, hey, I forgot blah blah blah, can you please stop and get this? And so you do. And this timeline of delay, when you normally would have, like, for example, driven home a very specific way, all these delays saved you from a car accident that's in front of you, right? The boulder saves you from the boulder, saves you from the rock, saves you from something. So that's what I got from the energy of 808. I went from there to 808, and it's a sign of abundance and manifestation and spiritual growth, and to embrace your potential and align with your true purpose, which means, if it's time, right? Like, where are you also delaying something? Where are you getting in your own way? And where are you being a perfectionist and deciding that I'm not good enough yet? I mean, I always joke and I say that my name is Jon Snow, I know nothing, because I know what I have discovered and I know what I have been taught, but I definitely don't know everything. So that energy of, finding your purpose, or that craving for something in your life, like, it could be talking about that. I don't know, but there's that. So then we go into the geomancy, which is, we got 4 of diamonds, which sometimes can refer to finances or a need to keep an eye on our finances, to consolidate, to save instead of spend, different things like that. And through that, we become abundant. And then Nine of Pentacles is, if one or more of you are wanting financial independence in some kind of way, what are we willing to do for it? How hard are we willing to work for it? Different things like that. And this one is, a different kind altogether. The energy of this one is Canis Minor, the little dog, right? I uniquely have a little dog, right? So I don't know, this might be for me, but I'm still giving it to you but it talks about literally a small dog. Literally, if you have a small animal of some sort, and the symbol of loyalty and protection and guidance from a faithful companion. So sometimes in order to do something like make a change, for example, when we want to invest in self-growth, or just we have a goal in mind and different stuff like that, sometimes we need someone who can help us in some kind of way so we can become more financially stable or more independent in some kind of way, or a circumstance happens to make us be a certain way. The next one is Four of Hearts. How can you avoid being disappointed by circumstances? And also, what are you willing, like consolidation, or the cutting away of something, or, cutting yourself off from something, like bad habits, spending, bad thoughts, self-doubt, all those things. Because Bernie's literally, she said that she would chop her hair off if God saved her husband and brought him back home from war. So she literally was like, this means nothing. I love the way that it looks. I identified with this. This is a huge part of me. But if cutting this off brings somebody home, I'm going to do it. So that energy of that reads devotion and sacrifice. The enduring power of love and hope, and a fulfilling of a vow. That was a but anyway, so a fulfilling of a vow. So any type of promise we made, and also this is a kind of cup where we can be pessimistic and sometimes not seeing the bright side of something, or again, that energy of waiting for something to come towards us. And sometimes, for example, if you're someone who is I'll believe it when I see it, then maybe you need to request symbols of some sort that can be repeated or show up for you. So one of the things that can show up for you is skulls or jaguars, something like that. That's a random word that came out, or the symbol of fire. So then we also have the Two of Wands, which this card can sometimes mean when we're of two minds, literally, where we're torn between something. We're thinking about something. We want to go somewhere, but we want to be here, or we feel like we have to be here, but we want to go there, or we don't know what to do, and we're experiencing some sort of confusion. And this card, and when I did my research for it, it talks about the date February 17th. So maybe let's think about what happened for you February 17th. And it's also called the furnace. What a weird word, right? But it's talking about basically an oven, right? What do we do in ovens? We bake things, we cook things. It specifically is talking about bread. And sacrificial cakes is one of the things it was talking about. But it said the proper baking, sacrificial cakes, and an energy of sulfur and brimstone. Not so awesome energy that comes with that specific constellation. One of the numbers that the sulfur and brimstone refers to is one of the quotes from Revelation in the Bible and it's 1920, which that might be a time for somebody, or I don't know, but it also relates to the 808 frequency, which is Mars and Aries, which is fire. And obviously one of the things that we've noticed that's happened, especially in California and other places around the world, is seems to be the age of fire, right? We are in Aries, but also, for example, the planet that I'm talking about, Saturn, is going to move into Aries, which is a fire sign. So, and Neptune, which rules over waters and stuff like that, it's going to move into a fire sign. You know, Mercury and Venus were just in Aries, and they're about to retrograde back into Pisces and conjoin with those planets again. So I've been, you know, in this giant, huge rabbit hole. Thank you for going with me in my weirdness. So that first line, it talks about Rubeus, which is Mars, the North Node, Coda Draconis, which, you know, is the North Node, and then Amisio, which equals loss, right? Those aren't, you know, loss, endings, and stop is one of the words I got for Rubeus. Those aren't really, how do we be positive about that kind of energy? Well, one of the things you might want to think about is, what is Rubeus telling you to stop doing? Quite literally, what are we doing? Mars is the scissors, the knives, the scalpel, all those things. Stop doing that. That's the clear whatever. And the Coda Draconis endings. What are you going to stop doing, right? Acknowledgement. What is a path to growth? Because the North Node is, you know, always the energy that we're striving towards to grow up. It doesn't mean that, you know, going towards that wholeheartedly is going to bring us satisfaction, because it's considered like the insatiable, never-ending achievement, right? But it's the goalpost, you know. So, and then Amisio, loss, right? What are you willing to lose? What are you not willing to lose, right? So the energies of Amisio is Venus, right? So we have a connection between Mars, the North Node, and Venus. And the Venus is going to be going through the North Node one more time. I think 2 more times, actually. So one of the things that I wrote down was when Venus conjoins the North Node and makes an aspect to Mars, which could also be a date. There's that. I did not look it up to know when that was, because this is a lot. So whenever that happens, that. And that also, you know, is the energy of it went from 1, which is a new beginning, right? So the only way you can start something and do it fully is if you allow yourself to start from a new place, a new mindset, a new something, or even if it's just you. I want a new me. I want to be somebody else. You can't do any of it without stopping what you're doing, being willing to end something, and willing to lose something, you know? Okay, so then I have another line, because I wanted to ask, okay, these could be possible people that are experiencing something from this energy, or it could be places, or these places might mean something to somebody. So that's the intention that I went with that. So that's where the Joker was next to, the 808 energy. So the 808, we're going to see how this all comes together. Now, an Ace of Diamonds is, you know, sometimes obviously it's like, you know, the new beginning energy. Sometimes it's a new beginning on what really matters to us. And one of the things I wrote, I don't know if I said this already, but it was self-worth, finances, and knowing what your true value is, and tapping into self-mastery and learning to project and proclaim your value. So that energy came for me for that one. Now, again, this is another slow energy, right? This is like someone who takes their time when doing something, being, you know, like, and when we think about, for example, Saturn being in conjunction with the North Node, right? When that happens collectively for all of us, there's going to be the energy of Saturn. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when Neptune was in conjunction with the North Node, how foggy it was everywhere all the time. Like, there was this weird energy of just fog all the time when it was like literally sitting inside of it. So that's one of the visuals I noticed about it. So when you think about what happens collectively when Saturn enters the North Node, it's a time of consolidation. And also, like, one of the descriptions of Saturn is it's dry, slightly damp, and it's kind of cold. And so that can talk weather related. It can talk about health and illness type of things. It can talk about weather specifically, like, I probably said weather already, it doesn't matter. So sandy environments, or like, for example, it's dry and the you know, everything's crispy, which would be why, you know, when Saturn goes into Aries, we have to be careful about fires. You know, don't set fires, don't put things in a way that can catch on fire, especially if the wind is going, you know, different things like that. That can be one of the symbols of it. But back to the this energy, it has a lot to do with you know, like, for example, if one of the things that it is like we're experiencing restrictions, it's like, what can we buy? You know, we think about what's happening in the world and all the tariff stuff like that, like maybe restrictions in things that we're used to buying, and, you know, now things that we used to do at our own pace and the things that we want to, something about that may be changing, or instead of being in a hurry in the experience of whatever's going to show up for everybody, how can you be okay with, you know, because Saturn is slow, right? It's a slow outer planet, and it also equals time. So how can you use your time wisely in some kind of way? Then we got Three of Hearts, and I felt drawn to read what my studies have shown up for as the Three of Hearts. So I'm just going to read this, and maybe it might mean something to you, maybe it might not mean nothing, and that's okay. So the Three of Hearts is associated with themes of love, emotions, creativity, and choices in relationships. A general meaning is a love triangle, emotional confusion, or being torn between two romantic interests, which goes back to the Two of Wands. And then there's celebration and joy, social gatherings, friendships, and lightheartedness and fun. Emotional growth, learning lessons in love, understanding one's heart, or developing a deeper emotional intelligence. And when it talks about love and relationships specifically, it's possibly third-party involvement or an emotional tug-of-war, can indicate flirtation, dating, or an excitement, but not always long-term commitment. Sometimes suggest reconciliation or a new romantic opportunity. Career and finances, it can talk about creative partnerships, collaborations, or a project involving emotional fulfillment. It can indicate uncertainty in career, having to make choices or juggling multiple opportunities, and a warning against being too scattered or distracted by emotions in business. The spiritual and personal growth message is encouragement to follow through with your heart, but listen to reason. Reminder to stay balanced with emotions, relationships, and can signify a period of learning through social or romantic experiences. So that, before that, the going slow energy, you definitely want to be slow with absorbing that information. Apply where it needs applied, do the things wherever it shows up for you, pay attention to that. And then I got the 10 of Hearts. So the 10 of Hearts energy is like emotional fulfillment. So the actual 808 energy, the moral of the story is where and what can I do? Where can I go? What all these different things. What is it that I can change that can help me reach some sort of fulfillment? Whoa. But so I'm going to read, now that I've read like the meanings of the cards that I have interpreted through the readings today. I'm going to read through the 3 places that came out, things that they mean. So, the Taipei City 101, it's talking about the building, but it's also Taipei, or Taipei. I probably botched it. But anyway, a symbol of our capacity to dream big and push boundaries. And what is a boundary? Saturn. The energy is of Saturn. So, how do you know what the boundary is if you've never tried to push it? Right? How good can you do something? How far can you go? You know, how big can something be? You know, and that can be your dreams too, you know what I mean? So, and then there's Tikal, Guatemala. Might have botched that too, I apologize. The place of hidden voices or spirit voices, and a place of deep introspection. So, if you were to think about anybody who has Saturn in the 12th house, that is Saturn's joy, but it is the place of, you know, isolation, right? Where one seeks wisdom through, you know, their own mind. Like, instead of going out into the world and trying to find information through other people and thinking that the answers out there, what answers are in here kind of energy. And then the last one is the Pyramid of the Sun from Mexico, right? And this is the one that refers specifically to the womb and also the skulls and the jaguars. And it says, a place of emergence where gods were born and creation meets the underworld, which that specifically talks about Mercury and Pluto. Because Mercury is the only energy, even in Hermes had the ability to go from heaven to earth and to hell and back, and be the only one that could pass back and forth, because he was like the shepherd of souls into the underworld. So those 2 planets that immediately come to me is Mercury and Pluto. And the geomancy for that is 7, which goes back to being introspective. If you're coming at it from the religious side of the number, but if you're coming from it from the relationship side of the number, it is our close, intimate relationships, business partners, and stuff like that. So the 2 lines together add from new beginnings that are abundant with, you know, new people that could possibly be relationships, business partnerships. And it's also from a place that, you know, you have to allow yourself introspection. What do I want out of this? What do I value out of this? How can we prosper through this? And different things. It's like, don't go towards something just wanting to win. If you're only going for it towards for the money, this energy is not going to work in your favor, because you're going to miss the point of everything. And then what is it? Diplomacy and negotiations, right? So where are you going to be asked to possibly lead somebody, to stand up for somebody? Or it could literally be talking about somebody who's in, you know, the government, who's doing something, you know, advocating for something or whatever. And then negotiations. Like, where are you willing to compromise with somebody? Where are you willing to, you know, within your boundaries of Saturn, meet somebody else's boundaries, but still be able to reach stuff over the fence to each other, you know, and not build walls? That could be the energy of it. So the energy comes over again, Coda Draconis, which is the north node, then Via, which is the moon, which talks about, you know, the way in which change happens to us, the road, the straight line, the thing that we're focusing on. And then Tritista, which is Saturn again, and the word that's identified with that is sorrows. So it's really hard, like, how do you be happy about endings that, you know, change things and make you sometimes sad? How are we supposed to be happy about that? It could be something along the lines of, I don't know, the energy that I was thinking about was someone who genuinely loves something, doing something, going somewhere, being a part of something, but internally it's stressing the ever-living crap out of them, and it feels like it's too much, and the universe gifts you an ending, the open door to choose something that changes. And though you may be sad about it, what if that lifts a burden off of you in some kind of way? So with that, it's North Node, Moon, Saturn. So I wrote down when the Moon conjoins the North Node after passing over Saturn. So it's going to basically go over Saturn first, and then it's going to go through the North Node. And that one is about 3 days, and that's right before, it's Friday, the 28th, before the eclipse happens. So that one was more close. So I could study it all the way down to, like, I've been working on a clock system, but it's tailored to my own birth time. I went really far. I don't even know how to explain where I went. I'm having a black hole moment, black hole into, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but that's where I'm going. But I have been studying, time related to planetary movements. So anyway, I don't know if any of this helped you. I really don't know. I don't know. But either way, both rows, 1, 7 equals 8. 8 is abundance. 8 is karma, which is ruled by Saturn. And 8 is where we are reborn in some kind of way. And you ever heard that statement, trial by fire? Well, that's the energy I think of when it's Saturn entering Aries. Yeah, I guess that's what I got. I hope my random mind mumbles, my black hole discoveries, maybe something I said will mean something to you. I hope that, if anything else, you just enjoyed me going in so many directions. All right, bye guys. Have a good day.